I'm going to welcome everyone. And we're going to take a few minutes. I'm Barbara Sullivan. I'm the executive leveraging resources follow-up webinar from our conference. Our team is on here: Carol Paquette, Mary Jane Atwater, and Cynthia Kemp. First, I'm going to ask if everybody would mute themselves, and so we don't have any of the background noise. We are going to be taking questions at the end, so please hold on to the box, and we will monitor them. And I'd like to go around the room, and if you can just, I'm going to call you out from my end. If you can unmute yourself and tell me who you are and your village, that would be great. So we can do, I'm going to ask Kay in Oregon, if you'll tell us the name of your village.
Ours is called Rivers East Village, and we are on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon.
Great. You're one of them. John Marsh.
John Marsh and Patty Bassietto from the village in Howard County, Maryland.
Perfect. Jody.
I'm from East Hampton Neighbors in Massachusetts.
Terrific. Judy Gates. Judy, you're on mute. Terrific, thank you. D-Y-A-D-D.
From just north of Scranton, Pennsylvania, and it's called
Hi, I'm Pat Matthews. I'm from the village of Tacoma Park in Maryland.
Got a couple Marylanders here. Welcome. Nick.
Angela Nicoletti from Cheshire Village.
Carol Cookson.
I'm with Rivers East Village, which is in the suburbs of Portland, Oregon.
Okay. Dick Myers.
Pasadena, California.
Terrific, thank you. Kelly.
Hi, I'm Kelly Corbett. I'm from the Village Network of Petaluma.
Joy. You're on mute.
I'm from the village in Howard in Maryland.
Okay. Ramona.
I'm from Village.
Excellent. LJ.
Hi, Lynn from Community Connections in Findlay Lake. I'm the executive director, New York.
Marilyn Fraser. Oh, we'll come back. Patty Donovan.
And Eureka with Redwood Coast Village.
Excellent. Dick. Phil.
Dick Philly. I'm from Young Harris, Georgia, North Georgia, and our village have meeting stages.
Excellent. Thank you. Beverly Thorne.
I am Beverly Thorne from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and the name of our village is Tuscaloosa Home and Place.
Terrific. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Ana Velez. I'm from Pueblos en la Comunidad, and we're located in Central Florida. Storm is blowing out.
We have a couple.
If I,
Well, we hope you stay with us.
yeah,
Barbara Shear.
Neighbors Network in Lee County, we're just starting. We're going to be a countywide hub and spoke village.
Hi, I'm Linda Rockwell, board president with North Shore Village Network, just north of Chicago, Chicagoland area.
And
Society and the Village's Technical Assistance Center. We're a nonprofit operating foundation out of Albany, New York.
Diane Priscilla. Excellent. Hillary.
Hey, I'm Hillary Simmons, Executive Director of A Little Help, a village in Colorado in 3 different locations.
Right.
Hi, I'm Jane Ely from Penn's Village in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Brenda Jones.
Hello, I'm Brenda Jones. I live in Lorton, Virginia, and we have the Spring Hills.
Hi,
Carrie.
Carrie Gaudio with Neighbor to Neighbor in the Ninis in Tallahassee, Florida. And I have a tropical storm coming in as we speak, so I might get disconnected.
Dorothy.
Hi, from Olympia, Washington, part of the Olympia Virtual Village. We're just creating ourselves, and at the moment, but we're here to learn.
Terrific. Susie.
Hi, I'm Susie Chan, board president of Northwest Neighbors Network, and we have 7 cities just south, just north of the sea.
Heidi.
Hi, I'm Heidi Weir. I'm with Swampscott, in Swampscott with the Seaglass Village. We will be a year old in December.
Right.
Massachusetts.
I'm also in Olympia, Washington with Dorothy with a brand new village starting here in Thurston County.
Cheryl Jewell.
I'm Cheryl Jewell. I'm with Love Living at Home in Ithaca, New York, and we are 6 years old.
Great. Annette.
Central Florida, we're 6 years old.
Cannot speak. I don't know who that is. Okay. Elaine Nelson.
I'm Elaine Nelson, and I'm with Villages Without Walls, and we're in the Hillsborough, Forest Grove area in Oregon.
Okay. Steve and Mary.
Hi, Steve and Mary Joyce from Salt Lake City, Utah. We're just in the exploratory stages of starting a village. Maybe it'll be Wasatch Hollow Village.
Terrific. Camelita.
Hi, Camelita Aldridge with the Area Agency on Aging in Southwest Florida.
Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Frank Walter. No. Kim.
Hi there, I am Kim Greer. I'm in Asheville, North Carolina, and I am the board president for the Village to Village Network. And holy cow, am I ever glad to see so many folks on this webinar. So hope you get a lot from it. You will.
Marianne Morse.
Hi, yes, I'm also from Northern California, Humboldt County, and I'm from Redwood Coast Village. We're about 6 years old.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marisela Morado, and I'm with the Area Agency on Aging for Southwest Florida.
Terrific. Thanks for joining us. Sonia Norton. You know what? I don't know if Sonia's going to get on. Susan Farkas.
Hi, I am Susan Farkas, and I am with Viva Village in Portland, Oregon. And the village exists for about 6.5 years. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to see you. Jerry Caribo. No. I have a 503
Hello?
number.
Yes,
Can you tell us
That's
who you
me.
are and your, yep,
yeah,
you
hi. My name is with Northeast Village in Portland, Oregon.
terrific, thank you. And I think I have everyone. Did I get everyone? No, Christina Smock. Did I get you?
Yes, you got me.
Okay, terrific. I think I have everyone. Did I miss anybody? Well, welcome. We're so happy.
Maybe
and pleased
Marilyn
to-
Fraser.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. My screen's moving so constantly.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Fraser. We're in Ambler, Pennsylvania. We're a suburb of Philadelphia. We just joined the Village Network, and we are called Elderhood Connections. We have an affiliation with our local Ambler Senior Center, and we're really interested in this topic.
Terrific. Well, thank you. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Carol Paquette, who is going to lead the discussion. I'm sorry. Carol, you want me to go ahead and share a screen?
Yes, please. If you would put the first slide up, please, Barbara. It's just fabulous to have so many people turn out today. We're so delighted that you're interested in this topic. I hope you've all had a chance to read the report. And, we're here today to take your questions and, to dig a little bit deeper in topics that, we weren't able to get into a lot of detail in the report or in the presentation at the conference. What we're planning to do today, since we don't know how many of you actually saw the presentation at the conference, and that has been a little while ago. So we're just going to do a quick recap of the high points of the presentation, just to sort of get us all on the same, thinking in the same vein about this topic. And then we'll be very happy to address any questions or discussion points that you want to bring up. Next slide, please, Barbara. What we discovered in the course of our research is that partnering between villages and AAAs just seems like a very natural. Both organizations have the shared and stated goal of enabling older adults to age in place safely, to maintain independence, and to stay connected to their communities. We work with the same target population of the older adults. AAAs, of course, work with additional people in the community, but they have a big focus on the older adult community through the Older Americans Act. Many complementary services and programs between A's, and this is an area where we think it's a very easy area to maybe start building some relationships if you haven't already started working with your AAA. And we'll get into a little more detail on that later on. And experienced collaborators. What that means is that AAAs are supported in their mission by many agencies and organizations, nonprofits, in their local areas. And they often contract out to get much of their work done. So they're very plugged into the Aging Services Network in their communities, and actually are sort of the lead agency for the Aging Services Network. Villages also, we tend to reach out and work a lot with other nonprofits, other neighborhood and community organizations, because it gives us the opportunity to stay connected with what's going on in our community and to leverage our resources and find where other people can provide services that maybe our members can use, and other people who might be able to benefit from the village experience. Next slide, please, Barbara. Of the research project. This was about a 7-month project. It was funded by the Next 50 initiative, which is a Colorado-based foundation. Had the support and cooperation from US Aging in conducting this work, and we appreciate their support for the work as well. We interviewed a lot of villages to come up with a variety of case studies, and I'm happy to see that Growing Older Together is on the call today, because you're one of the villages that we spoke with, because you had a rather limited relationship with your AAA, but happy that you're joining us today. We did have 10 case studies that have varying degrees of collaboration going on. These are spread, pretty much across the country. They represent 30 villages, 10 AAAs, and 3 state units on aging. And among the villages and AAAs, we had both large and small AAAs with differing types of business models. Next slide. We found when in working with AAAs and villages that realize many benefits from their collaborations. And I would like to make the point on this chart that the words of the benefits, these are what we heard from the AAA people that we spoke with. These are the gloss of the research team. These are the words of the people that we interviewed. And AAAs find that villages are a very cost-effective way to expand their support to older adults. We all know we're pretty low budget operations, being mostly volunteer as villages. And we also provide a lot of innovative programs which are of interest to AAAs. And can do can't do. And I think COVID, for as disruptive as it was to life in general, it was actually a great opportunity for villages to demonstrate to AAAs and to what a very helpful and innovative model villages are, and our ability to really reach out and get in connection with individuals in their homes. The other aspect of interest or way to connect with otherwise hard to reach populations. Obviously, our rural villages are great assets to the AAAs in rural areas because resources in general are another opportunity to provide services to more older adults. Villages can also focus on special population groups. Excuse me. For example, they're in the LGBTQ community. We have a village on the call today that is focusing on the Hispanic community. And we have a village in suburban Baltimore that works with the Muslim community. So villages, by their very nature of being tied into their local communities and neighborhoods, can make those connections with some of these varied population groups that AAAs sometimes have difficulty reaching. Next slide. And on the village side, a thing that we often heard was that, not exactly, these are my words now, not the words of the interviewees, but essentially, you know, having a relationship with the AAA was like having the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. It really reinforced the validity and the value of villages, and increased their visibility in the community, and also are very important in the sustainability of villages. Not always through a financial relationship with the AAA, but through the other connections that villages have been able to make with their AAA. Many villages have also improved their operations by being associated with AAAs and being able to take advantage of AAA training programs and introduce some best practices. So the relationship with the AAAs is a very good way for villages to get more visibility and recognition within the Aging Services Network. Next chart, please. So we're going to get a little bit now into research. We looked at, as I said, 30 villages and 10 AAAs. And we were able to group those collaborations into 4 different categories, each of these types of collaborations, and what they're all about. And of course, in our report, we go into a discussion of these in much greater detail. So with Village Startup, I'm happy to see village planning groups that are on the call today, because AAAs can be very beneficial in the startup phase of a village. We have a number of AAAs that have started village financial support to villages, and that have provided a variety of other supports to villages as they're getting started. So my advice to you is, if you haven't already done this, get, every AAA has a area plan for aging, which lays out their programs, their budget, their priorities. And that's a very good document for village planners in their community. And it's also a good basis for striking up a conversation with your local AAA. So just because you're getting started, don't think that there's not a role for you to relate to the AAA, because that could be a very important aspect as you're getting started with your village program. Program support is a pretty broad category. This is it covers a range of activities, so it's villages and AAAs that are cross-promoting programs or activities, cross-referring their clients and their members to the other organization, publicizing events and activities in their service groups, and also to actually provide services where villages are providing services for AAAs. In some cases, is on our call today, her village contracts with the local AAA, with several local AAAs, to provide several services. So they get reimbursed for delivering some services. Delivering services without reimbursement, but they have other types of program sharing activities that support those activities. For example, villages in Northern Virginia, which the AAA provides the van that they drive, and the village provides the driver. So there are many ways that villages and AAAs can support each other in carrying out their programs. Area of very fruitful collaboration between villages and AAAs. And again, this is a two-way street. So the villages that are providing services for AAAs, that's kind of an obvious to enable the AAAs to reach their clients. One of our case studies was a village that had developed a module for a training course that the AAA friendly training. So the village was able to contribute a module to the AAA course, and the AAA is now promoting that module as part of their training for dementia friendly. Another area of capacity building is, I think we have two remarkable examples in our study, one in San Francisco and one in the District of Columbia. In San Francisco, there are two next San Francisco that actually receive funding for their operations. And the same is true of the 13 villages in the District of Columbia. They receive considerable funding from, I'm going to forget what it stands for. We're so used to calling it DACL, by the acronym, I've forgotten what the name is, the Administration for Community Living. And both of these AAA villages, because they feel that the villages are strategic partners for them in being able to fulfill their mission and to reach more older adults and to reach some special populations. Now, I'm imagining that many raising and have done some grant applications, and you might appreciate the fact that it's very difficult to get grant funding for general operations. Typically, a grantor wants you to have a special program, wants to help. So it's really remarkable that in these two instances, these AAAs are valuing the villages to the extent that they are, supporting their operations and enabling them to hire staff to their operations and to do other things that are mutually beneficial to the AAA and to the village. Our final type of collaboration is planning and coordination. I've already referenced this, are required to produce an area plan for aging. And these plans go to the state level, and each state unit on aging also does a state level plan for aging. And all of these plans then get rolled up and provided to the federal Administration for Community Living to support the funding and the program development for the AAA network. We found a number of local AAAs and state units on aging that included villages in their plan as strategic partners and as strategies for fulfilling their mission. We also see a little planning on a little more localized level where village members might be on advisory commissions or commissions on aging or other boards or committees of the AAA, and AAA personnel may also be advisors to the village or be on the board or planning groups. The similarity of the mission and what we're trying to do really makes a lot of these activities very natural and very beneficial to both organizations. And I think with that, we're going to turn this over to Mary Jane. to talk about starting a collaboration.
I think we went backwards there. Yeah.
Oh, really?
There we are.
Oh,
Great. Hi, I'm Mary Jane Atwater, and I had the pleasure of serving on the team that worked on the handbook. And I'm going to talk just here about starting a collaboration. And I think this will be really important, certainly for those of you who are at the initial stages. And I think these points here apply to any kind of collaboration or any kind of partnership that a village would want to execute or explore. But we're going to talk specifically about AAAs here. So the first thing, of course, is to prepare. And, basically what you need to do is to get to know your AAA and consider how your village could fit into the AAA environment. So how do you do that? Well, Carol mentioned state and local plans on aging. I think you want to look at those. Get to know your AAA by looking at their strategic plan. A lot of those strategic plans are available online. They're available publicly. And take a look at them so you understand what the priorities are, what the budget is, what kind of services and programs the AAA offers. Carol mentioned advisory groups, advisory councils, committees. What do they have and where might you fit in there? So all of those kinds of things are really important to do as part of your preparation. Look at where you could fill in some gaps or provide a resource. And in my own village's case, the AAA in our county was having difficulty providing transportation for our area, which is a rural area of the county. And so when we were very new, but we approached the AAA and said, we think we could help you out to provide, we formed an MOU with them, memorandum of understanding, but they provided one of their wheelchair accessible vans and park it in our community so that we, our volunteers at our village, would drive not only our Lowlink members, but also other members of the community to medical and legal appointments. So that was one way very early on that we were able to collaborate with them. So after you prepare, certainly it's important to advocate, tell your story. It's important to build awareness of the village and sort of the community that you live in and the benefits of the village. You certainly want to get to know the officials who have AAA oversight and the interest in older adults, supervisors or council members, whatever they are in your specific situation. So you meet with them, share information about your village, again, tell your story. And you can do that also through the media, through publicity that you might be able to put out there for different things that are going on in your village. Identify a champion. I know it in our village. Fortunately, one of the county supervisors lives in our community, and he's been a terrific resource, sending us information about state and local issues that affect older adults and where the village could fit in. So that kind of champion could really be useful for you. Next, you want to engage with the AAA. And it's important to recognize that this is not really a business transaction. It's all about the relationship. So it takes time. Working for, or actually volunteering for a AAA work group or a committee is one way that you can do that. Invite the AAA staff to your village if you're having a program or a special event, invite them, introduce your village, your members. We invited the executive director of our AAA to our village to talk about AAA programs, to introduce the many, many programs that our AAA has. It was a well-attended session. And we also invite the AAA staff to come do a Medicare workshop on an annual basis during the enrollment period. So those kinds of engagements are really important. And finally, cultivating. Once you have the relationship, you need to cultivate it. And I think it's important here to, you don't have to speed into this. These relationships take time. So If you need to start small, that's fine. Start with just, inviting somebody to your programs, and then build from there. We know from our research that some of the relationships didn't take very long. I know Community Connections at Findlay Lake, they're on the call today. I think during our session at the conference, they were asked how long it took to form their relationship. And Lynn said 15 minutes. Well, they walked into the office and they had a relationship, but that's not always the case. I mean, Hillary at A Little Help can talk about how long it took to cultivate and that relationship that A Little Help has with its AAA. So, you build the collaboration as time goes on, and as your capacity permits. And again, it's important to recognize that some relationships, particularly if they're financial relationships, involve reporting and evaluation. So you want to make sure that if you're going to do a more complex capacity to do that. So we know as village people that we adapt, we're nimble, and that's exactly what you need to do as you start your collaboration and as you cultivate it going on. So now I guess we go to Cynthia on slide number 8.
Thank you. So collaborations between AAAs and villages seem like a natural fit, but success of these collaborations is not guaranteed. And as we interviewed study participants, several elements of success were identified, and you may notice that there's some overlap between these elements. First is communication. The best communication in any relationship is clear, it's frequent, and it's open. This helps to foster manage expectations. The latter is important because friction usually occurs when there's a gap in expectations. We saw both formal and informal communication in all the collaborations. The degree to which each was used varied between collaborations. So for example, formal communication, which I would define as communication in which information is shared in predefined channels or ways or methods, and the DC Unit on Aging established monthly meetings. And in those meetings, that's where the bulk of their communication occurred. Another example from a collaboration is where the village was whenever they had staff changes. So informal communication is, as you might expect, is more flexible. This could be where a village has a relationship with the AAA so they can pick up the phone and call anytime. To a village event, there are certainly conversations which are partnerships. The best relationships are mutually beneficial, and that's certainly true of AAA and village collaboration when such that both parties realize benefits. And that's just the benefits now, but also thinking about how those benefits could be in the future. This could entail periodically asking the question of what community needs evolve, AAA priorities evolve, and villages evolve. So the collaboration may need to evolve as well so that the parties continually feel like the relationship is mutually. It also means that the villages need to be proactive in identifying, implementing process improvements. The next key element is results. For villages, focus on results means ensuring that the collaboration helps the AAA achieve its goal. This certainly means that villages need to deliver high-quality programs and services, but it also means being inclusive of underserved populations, which is a priority for all AAA. The degree to which a village must quantify results varied among the collaborations we studied. So for example, some villages were required to have predefined targets such as volunteer engagement, served, etc. Other collaborations were more informal, and villages were asked to submit qualitative results and testimonials, sometimes photos, etc. The next element is evaluation. All high-performing organizations must continually improve, and so must collaborations. Evaluation, as you may know from your village, more and more to be part of grants, where while testimonials and anecdotes will remain valuable, they're not always sufficient. And that is the case in some of the AAA collaborations where So what is evaluation? It means regularly assessing if the objectives are met by both parties, but it's also periodically assessing whether or not the collaboration fits your, and I would encourage you, if you haven't seen the session at the National Village Gathering on the Village Impact Project, I encourage you to watch it. The V2V network is facilitating an effort to aggregate the benefits of the village model, and it may well help your village as well. And the last component is innovation. One of my favorite quotes that I heard during the process of interview came from Judy Berman, an innovation sandbox. And villages are small, they're nimble, and they can move in ways that larger organizations cannot. Innovation includes the ability to adapt to new, I said earlier, the villages demonstrated during the pandemic. Being innovative could mean identifying unmet needs and thinking about how your village could create programs and services to meet those needs. And new ways of working with other organizations and perhaps working with other villages. One of the things that we saw during our interview process is that more villages are thinking about not necessarily do they work together to propose to AAAs. So that's an example of an innovation, thinking beyond your village. And that's all.
Well, I think we'll just conclude that while we've talked a lot about the benefits to villages and to AAAs, the ultimate older adults that both organizations serve, with leveraging their resources and working together, AAAs and villages are able to reach more older adults. They can increase available. They can include more underserved populations and really provide more community engagement and local interaction. So, you know, when we're thinking about a lot on sort of the business and organizational aspects, but, you know, in the end, the benefit and the value of all of this, and it's a big selling point with the AAAs and with other organizations, is that, you know, both organizations can really do more with the resources that they have. So again, I think that pretty much concludes our very quick summary of our research, and I think now we're ready to open the floor to questions. So who's ready to start a collaboration with their AAA? Raise your hand. Great. Speak to what you're looking for. I'm sorry, there were several hands that came up and I couldn't get the name. So Carol Cookson, I see your hand still up. Let's start with you.
Well, we were inspired by the booklet that was provided Agency on Aging Collaboration, and we are starting some discussions we're part of a hub and spoke network, and there are 10 villages involved in our network in the Portland. Discussions now about how we want to approach the AAAs and what kind of partnerships we might be looking for.
Hillary, could I hub and spoke and have been building a relationship with multiple AAAs in your area? Do you have any words of wisdom or advice to share with Carol?
Hey guys, sorry I'm a bit mobile here. Really love hearing all the great work that you've put into this, and can't say enough how great it's been to work with our AAAs. As was mentioned earlier, it did take us a long time to get this relationship going, and so I would just, encourage patience. If it doesn't happen the first go round, keep trying, because our mission and theirs are very uniquely poised to coordinate and mobilize volunteers in the community in a way that it can be harder for a AAA to do themselves. So, we really have a valuable of what it is to do what we do. It's pretty low, and we've ended up being, one of our AAA's kind of cheapest providers. And so I think there's tremendous value, in our model, in what we do, and we can get from them. So if this is something you're thinking about, I really encourage it. There's considerable reporting and compliance and things like that. There are some ways around some of it. If you do, it is worth it, and it is best practices anyway, all the things they're asking you to do. So I hope, this inspires people to reach out. And I hope the AAAs on the other side are receptive, because it's just such a great, and just by the numbers, we just started working with our AAAs in 2020, and now we receive from $200,000 to $300,000 a year from our AAAs, which is about a third of our budget, maybe a quarter. So it's become a way other funds get allocated, like transportation funds and Senate bill funds and things like that. So you're also kind of a little bit more in the know when those opportunities come up, and you've already been vetted, to a significant, to get in the door there. And of course, you still have to show the need and write the grant and all that good stuff. But it's good to partner in that kind of work, so it can open the doors to a lot of other things. Thanks for letting me share. Sorry for the long.
Just gonna ask folks, because there's so many people on here. If you go to the bottom of your screen, you'll see, if you move your cursor, the reactions. There's a raised hand module that you can put in there. If we don't see you, you can utilize it right away. And I'm going to show you how to do it right now. See, I just did it. So everybody can see. All right.
Thanks, Barbara. Okay.
And we have Cheryl knew.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. I'm curious if you can sum up in detail, about what it is that you do for your AAA to be able to receive that kind of money.
That's a question for Hillary.
I was just typing into the chat, but it'll be easier for me to say it. So we partner with the AAA on transportation services, chore services, and reassurance services, which we call care calls. 60 plus within their specific catchment areas. So we report on that every month and then are reimbursed for that based on, usually it's based on like a per unit rate. So like a unit of chore is 1 hour, a unit of transportation is one direction of a ride. And then we submit our budget every year of what that goes to. So that goes, and we have a staff of 4. So a lot of that goes to the folks who are coordinating the volunteers, managing the database that coordinates everybody and triages those services, background checks, some mileage on each service. So we do have it tied to a budget and we show, how those expenses all play out as well. But it really helps us run our program and keep recruiting volunteers to provide those services.
So you cover
So
your area?
We don't, like, there are 13 different AAAs in Colorado. And so even working with one, we might not have the exact same catchment area. Like you don't have to serve the whole area reimbursed there.
Okay.
So like Dr. Cog serves a huge region and we don't get as far as Clear Creek and up to Boulder and things like that. But for things in Denver and in Jefferson County, a little bit of Adams, Arapahoe. So
wonderful, thank you.
It's okay if you don't serve their whole area. Don't let that stop you from.
Okay, thank you.
Just by way of context, I think Hillary has the largest village in the country. There are over 800 members. And where are you?
We're at about 1,000, and that doesn't include our volunteers over 55, which we do normally include in our overall impact, which is around 1,800.
Right, and then they also serve multiple AAAs. So, Jane Ely.
So we in Philadelphia do have a relationship with our AAA a little bit. We have a board member who is lots of connections and is a wonderful resource for us. And we do accept referrals from them for services and send folks to them for services that we can't provide. But we have some dilemmas. One is Philadelphia is a big city. We're in a tiny part of downtown. And it means that for them to send us folks, they're going to have to be, really specifically looking for folks who live in our catchment area. And we have found that to be an issue in working with healthcare providers, for example, where, the social worker at the local hospital wants to send people to us. And they're never in our area. It's it's really a problem. So that's a concern I have in terms of referrals. The other thing is that members, and we have never had to turn anybody away. That said, our low-income members come with, I would say they have the most significant needs of care management. They need home care. They call because they need mental health services. They need a lot of things that are we can get involved with, but we don't have the time. We don't have a care manager. I'm a part-time director. We deliver the services. We deliver lots of services, but to take on more and more folks with more and more challenges is worrisome. And some on our board are reluctant to. So I just wonder if anybody else has had some of those concerns.
Did anyone want to respond to Jane?
one of the, when we talked about planning and coordinating, doing shared referrals, and villages have to always define. And several of the villages that we talked to would say one of the advantages they had is that a AAA could refer to them, somebody who did not require formalized care. Can refer people to AAAs who do require more formalized care. And that is where a village really has to know what their boundaries are and when to refer to a AAA.
And it helps to be really specific about where you serve, the scope of services, so you're getting strong referrals. Speaking directly to the folks making referrals over the phone is a good way to align. She also sang on folks with more needs. We have a longer onboarding process to make sure someone will have success as a member, which is a good point.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you.
What kind of operating system you use to keep track of all the reporting that you need to do?
We use City CRM. We've been using it for a number of years now. It's an open source software out of San Francisco. Our own development on top of it to, make it a really good system for our volunteers. We have our volunteers, once they're, background checked and onboarded and trained, all that good stuff, they're able to log on to by type of service, by area. We have a mapping feature, that kind of thing. And they don't get the specifics like name, address, phone number until they actually accept it. So we're not just throwing all that information out there. But that's an important part of our system, to be able to replicate and scale. We're working on the ability for members to also request in that way. But that's few and far between at this point. But you definitely need something keeping track of everything. And then each of those requests people pick, and it has a unit associated with it. And we can pull those reports by area and by member age, so that we're only reporting the things that qualify to our AAA.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This may be ignorant, but how do we access the booklet that you guys keep referring to and have taken information from, the report on the collaboration? Is it, I missed?
That's very easy, Dorothy. Just go to our website. You'll see the first thing on our homepage is a divided screen, and it's village to village. And then next to it is the leveraging resources picture, the handbook. And all you have to do is click on that picture and it'll load it right from there.
Thank you. Anyone else with questions? How about Barbara Shearer? I think I saw your hand up about you're about to start.
Well, I was hoping you'd forget that I raised my hand.
Oh, sorry.
Not really. It's just that, we've been working on this for such a long time, but the way we did it was we began working with the Aging Coalition. Our AAA members are here. One was on our task force, Carmelita, and so when we started out looking at studying whether and now, post-COVID, just going through the planning and processing of just how we wanted to be organized, whether as a hub and spoke or as individual villages. We are now to the point where we are just ready to after a long, planning and thought process, ready to put our website out there. We're starting to talk with all of our local agencies that we were partners with on the Aging Coalition. And now I'm just, it's learning, getting getting educated about what resources are already here. I have got some phone calls from people in our community asking questions that, it's really requiring me to know more. I need to know more. I need to know what's out there. I need to know where to refer people. And so that's where we are now. We're reaching out. It just so happened that this webinar came out when we've scheduled a meeting with our local Southwest Florida AAA. And as I said, they're attending because I thought, gosh, talk about timing. I love this leverage book. It's fantastic. I really needed this. I need to, see it in writing. I'm a librarian. I like looking these things up. And so, this is the point, where we are. We're reaching out and we're meeting with local coalitions and agencies. So I feel like I just kind of spilled it all out there, but I don't know. That's where we're at. Learning.
Well, I think we're out of time. I think 5 o'clock is when we turn into pumpkins. Is that right, Barbara?
Yes, but that's okay. We did take a little bit of time to make introductions, so that took a few minutes away. But I think this has been really productive, Carol. And I have a lot more questions, and you can email any of us at B2B. I can pass it on to the team. Feel free to go in our forums and start a chat. And the group chat's always good because, as you can tell, people respond if you reply to all. There's a lot of chatter in there. And it's a good way to find out what other people are doing, and every phase of it, whether you're in exploratory stage or developing or an open village. So we're very excited.
Well, can I put Ken Harris on the spot and ask if there's, Ken works with Albany Guardian Society in New York and works extensively with the state unit on aging. And Ken, do you have anything that we missed you think is important to share?
I think, I was just so pleased about this report and about the excitement around the collaborations, because it made such a difference in Albany. We're actually a foundation that has been around for a long time, for 170 years. And this idea of being an incubator for villages has been really important for us. So I guess I would just say, reiterate what it was said today, is about really build those relationships. I think we were successful because our agency and we really put an effort into building those relationships with the Director of Office for Aging from the state level, but also the local level too is extremely important. And sorry if there's feedback. I think there is.
And maybe I would just add one point that we didn't hit on that. We did. Mary Jane touched on it a little bit, but maybe we need to be a little more specific. It's very important, and we heard this from nearly every village that we talked to get in contact with your local legislative, local government, whatever that might be, and let those people know about the village and the benefits of your village, because they can be very persuasive in promoting your cause. So again, don't overlook. Sometimes we think of politics as, we're so tired of politics these days, but local politics is in your local representatives. Don't overlook that avenue in terms of a way to get attention for your village and interest in funding your village. Any other questions, comments?
Clear, Cindy, are we okay?
Patty, yes?
Yeah, I wondered if there was any discussion about area agencies providing funding for the village. Or
Yes, we have a number of instances of area agencies providing funding. In some instances, startup funding. In Ken's case, for example, in the Albany Guardian Society, where they are working with the state agency that's been funding to start villages. In DC, there's been funding to start villages. And then, of course, as Hillary was talking about, and other villages have the experience of getting reimbursed by AAAs for providing services to AAA clients. As I mentioned, in San Francisco and DC and other areas, AAAs are providing support in terms of opening up their training to villages. Maybe they're providing funding for an IT system or other kinds of tools for the village to use. So there's just a variety of examples of funding support that AAAs have.
I was just going to add something, Carol, and Cynthia highlighted this in the chat, that we have a section in the handbook that specifically talks about program support and startup. And so there's a chart, I believe it's section 4, or if I'm not mistaken. So you can find some specific information there about what other villages have experienced in terms of startup funding.
There's a question in the chat asking if all villages are nonprofits. It's my understanding, but I'll put that back on Barbara Sullivan.
I'm going to tell you there is a handful out there that are not. And it was actually a question in our mentor program last month. But I would say 96% of our villages are all nonprofits because they're grant writing and looking for, donations and whatnot. So, or their parent organization is, I will say, they may have a parent sponsored organization that is the funder.
So Barbara, shall we wrap this up?
Yep. We thank you all very much. What a great showing. Again, stay tuned. I think this is exciting, and we're getting some feedback from the AAA. So I love hearing it.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Get out there and knock on some doors.
Yes, and let us know what you're doing.
Yeah, please.